All right, everyone, I'm excited to introduce my next guest, actress, author, advocate, 80s icon, seen everywhere. Love Boat, TJ Hooker, BJ and the Bear, just to name a few, best known as Jody Banks from The Fall Guy. Welcome to the show, Heather Thomas. Hey.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
So I don't know if do you ever just go to YouTube and search your name? I know that sounds
No, not really. I used to, but not really. I'll be doing some show and they'll mention an episode and I have no memory of it. So then I'm like really quickly going to YouTube to find that episode. I've had to do that mid-interview. I'm like, oh yes, when we did that.
Oh yeah, when we flew in from the car and I was we're
I remember it well.
So sometimes when you dig around, you find there's obviously Fall Guy stuff and interview, you on Letterman and all that. But then sometimes you find like that one little special thing.
What did you find?
I found a new generation superstore commercial from, I think it was like 87. It said, hi, I'm Heather Thomas.
What was I selling?
You were selling, well, let me tell you, because hold on to your socks. Oh, you could get a Walkman for $29.95. JVC.
That was me?
Yeah, you were pitching it. Well, then they cut away and go.
I don't remember selling Walkmans.
Well, you were selling the new generation Superstore. You probably didn't see the part they cut in, which was the impressive blank cassettes for 79 cents a piece. Walkman starting at $59.95, Heather.
My God.
I'm surprised you don't remember, because you said the real fun in my life is new generation.
Blank when you say that. I'm like, what Superstore? Maybe I did it as a favor to get a free TV. I don't remember. I really don't.
It was something I know. It's probably, you've probably done like a million things.
Getting a free flat screen or something.
It was something in Baton Rouge. I think it's in Baton Rouge.
I think it was one of those.
Well, I'm sure it was like a flat screen in 87.
At the store, and they go, just say this and we'll give it to you for free. And I'll go, okay, get this.
What's a flat screen in 1987 like? That was it. 32 inches. We think it's amazing. It weighs 7,000 pounds, right?
Yeah, it weighed 1,000,000 pounds, and you had to bolt it to the wall with like these special bolts that went in your studs.
We loved it. It's amazing how technology advances, but at any given point, we're like, this is the best.
It did. I know. This is it. Yeah, it did weigh. I had like 6 guys holding it up to get it.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was monstrous. But it was so heavy. I do remember that.
Oh, that is so funny. I don't always go in order. I do want to talk Love Boat because I love Love Boat. And I know you took
I got a funny story about that. Which one?
Well, you were on 2. You were on the one where it was a dog show, and then you went to Japan with Tony Danza and a bunch of other folks.
The Japan one was hysterical. First of all, neither Tony nor I read the script. We just heard trip to Japan. We went, I'm in. So we get there and we open our scripts, and I see I'm this horrible racist who hates Japanese people. And I'm sitting there and I'm praying that none of the Japanese people around, they're gathering around while we'd shoot. And I'd have to say these horrible things. I hate the Japanese. It was horrible. And then Tony, the burn was on him. He had to play a half Japanese guy. He had to look me in the eye and go, I am Japanese. And I just kept looking at all the crew that was Japanese. I just kept cracking up. And they were laughing. It was really hard to keep a straight face.
I think in early Love Boat, anything went. I think one of the
worst was me just yelling. I had to yell something like a racial slur against Japanese people in a crowd. It was bad. It served me right. But it was so much fun. The trip was so much fun. I didn't care after a while.
I would even argue that's probably not even the most problematic part of that episode. I mean, with today's eyes, I'm saying.
It was pretty funny. And then my dog is crying because he's stuck under the desk. Come here, honey. beep, 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 back up. Come on. See, you're free. 80 pounds. And he's whining because he's stuck under my desk.
What kind of dog do you have?
Golden.
Golden. I have a little Maltese.
Oh, no, this is a big sloppy golden retriever. He's my buddy. He's a little too aggressive, but he's nice. He's a sweetie pie. He just wants his butt scratched. That's it. He doesn't ask for much. Just scratch here. He's positioning his butt under my left hand. On that particular episode was John Ritter, and I was friends with Nancy and John anyway, and Harvey Korman, Rita Moreno, Gene Marsh, and Ted Knight, and Tony. I never laughed so hard in my life. It was hysterical. And at one point, Harvey Korman had Tim Conway's old man wig, and we're in a deer park, and a deer stole it. Entire crew is running after. I guess this wig is like an iconic thing, and that was really funny. But one time we went to a female impersonator show with Rita, and she goes, "Watch this," because all of a sudden, all the performers left the stage, and she goes, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They all came out dressed as her from West Side Story, and they all went, "A boy like that would kill your brother." And she goes, every damn time. It was just, every day was like that.
I mean, yeah, there was quite a group of icons you were hanging out with, including yourself. Yeah. So it must have been great, though, because like you said, you got to go to Japan. A lot of people, I don't think, know that, like, when you watch The Love Boat, most of those episodes are just a set. You're not even on.
Yeah. We didn't even take the boat. We just flew there.
You didn't even get to take a cruise?
No. The only cruise I took was up this little river with my boyfriend and Tony and his son. We all went up to Monkey Mountain, which turned into like survival. They didn't tell you there were 5,000 monkeys. They give you a bag of peanuts, and all of a sudden it's like, you just see them coming at you. And you have to go into this building that has like bars on it because the monkeys are all reaching for you. And my boyfriend got stuck outside, and we were like, "You're on your own, man. I'm not saving you." And they were like crawling all over. It was funny.
It's like, it sounds hilarious since you all made it out, but monkeys can be dangerous.
Yeah, it was all I could think of. I've worked with really nice monkeys before. Like I did BJ and the Bear, and that monkey was sweet. And that episode of Fall Guy, we had that Clyde monkey on from Every Which Way But Loose with Clint Eastwood. And all it did was grab my boobs. I always thought about those monkeys that ate that guy's face off, and that's all I could think about on Monkey Mountain was, if I make it down with my face, it's a win.
Yeah, and they arm you with peanuts. It sounds like somebody was trying to get you guys. Oh man. So the Love Boat's fun though, you got to hang with the crew as well. I know most of your stuff was with Tony, but like...
Yeah, the crew was great. Everybody was great on the Love Boat.
That was your typical Love Boat where, like, he asked you to marry him on that show. Let's fast forward the love. Let's do it.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And then you had one where...
I overcame my racial prejudice.
You did.
His dad or something.
I think your dad had been killed in the war.
Hi, Dad. This is Jane. She hates Japanese. And,
But in the end, he's the one that brought you together. So there you go. I mean,
yeah, it was bad.
Your typical and happy ending, though, for Love Boat. Was Japan great otherwise?
The crew was nice. The regular actors were so gracious and nice, and everybody was great.
Did you hang out on the boat at all, or did you have like a hotel? Did you have no?
We hung out. We'd go to bars a lot, and we went to the Kobe beef place, and we went to the riverboat gambling place. We loved Kyoto. We got to be in Kyoto a long time. And that was fun. And then we were in Tokyo.
And then the first time you went was you were with a bunch of dogs. I mean, literally dogs.
Yeah.
But also Dirk Benedict and Catherine Bach.
Kathy Bach and I used to ditch when we knew we had a break and we'd go shopping. A couple of times we took our dogs. Dog trainers freaked out. We just thought, oh, let's take the dog. I think I had a sheepdog or something.
Yes, a big sheepdog. Yeah.
We kidnapped it and put him in our car and drove over to Century City. It was like a block away.
What were people's reactions when you're out and all of a sudden they see Daisy Duke and Jody Banks?
walking dogs. And then we bought outfits for the dogs. And so we dressed them up. And the trainers were crazy when we came back with these dressed up dogs.
Oh, that is so funny. Oh, so you mentioned BJ and the Bear. Not to skip around a little bit, but I didn't realize this. But I mean, I realized Glen A. Larson like did a lot. But I didn't realize he did like he was the '80s. He was basically David E. Kelly or Shonda Rhimes in the '80s. And
Yeah.
you
Glen
were
Larson was the 80s.
yeah, and you were on before the Fall Guy. Well, you mentioned BJ and the Bear, which was the Glen A. Larson show, and Misadventures of Sheriff Lobo.
Yep.
And something I didn't realize because they don't put it at the top of Glen A. Larson's thing, but he helped develop the $6 Million Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. So like you guys, so the Fall Guy was sort of like Glen A. Larson greatest hits.
Developed like 55 shows. There was nobody like Glen. And at one time he had 5 shows on the air.
Oh yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like David E. Kelly, John Wright, like Battlestar Galactica, Buck Rogers, Misadventures of Sheriff Lobo, Quincy, the Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew, Fall Guy, Magnum PI, Knight Rider.
Alien Smith and Jones.
Alien Smith and Jones. I mean, like this was like. Thank you, Glen A. Larson, for everything I watched growing up. My God. All right. So you're working for him, and then is that sort of how it parlayed into the Fall Guy? Was it easier once?
Yeah, he thought about me for the job.
Does that mean you still have to audition? Or
like a 2-part BJ and the Bear, and then we did a crossover on Sheriff Lobo. He was trying to make a pilot out of Rebecca Reynolds and I, but she's like the funniest human on earth. We did a bunch of Glen Larson shows, but it was really fun. You know, when they know you, work begets work when you're doing TV.
Did you know you always wanted to be an actress? I mean, I know like at 14, you kind of were talking with the job.
Kind of a fantasy thing. And then I was going to be an assistant director. Went to UCLA Film School. And then my acting work, like doing guest stars. And I did a series for a season. I couldn't believe the suit lasted that long.
Co-ed Fever?
Yeah, it was awful. I did a series and I used to do any commercial I could get my hands on. I used to just lie, flat out lie and they'd say, can you ice skate? Yeah. Can you do this? Yeah. I did a Milk Does a Body Good on ice skates and the director was so pissed. They had to spin me, literally spin me so I could, be doing I remember I said I could bull ride and I had to do bull riding eating a Triscuit full of chili. That was like barf day and stuff
even
like
a bull rider do that? I mean,
I know.
It doesn't seem like
Triscuit with chili on my bull. Yeah, I got there and they go, "Here's your spit buck," and I go, "What's that for?" Because I love Triscuits and I thought it would be good. And the thing is going like this. Yeah. But anyway, they paid for my film school because in those days you had to buy your own. At UCLA, you had to buy your own film stock and budget your movie and all that. And it was very expensive. In the meantime, I was working as an actress, getting jobs and stuff. I saw how awful they treated the women who were in the assistant directors program. It's like if you did your job, you were a B. And if you didn't do your job, you were a ditz. There was no way you could win. So when I got an acting job, I go, okay, this is it. I mean, it had been a childhood fantasy. And I had always been in theater and everything, but I always thought everybody was a lot better looking and more skilled.
You thought people were better looking than you?
Yeah. You got to remember when you went on a cattle call in those days, there would be 50 people. It's not like now where you self-tape at home and send it in. You see everybody you're against and everybody looks alike. And I just say, I'm here with a bunch of better looking versions of me, It was weird.
That must have been a hell of a room. Just kidding. Let's talk about Co-ed Fever for a second. So this was a kind of a trying to be like an Animal House-ish. And like you made a joke about it being canceled right away.
For the first commercial, yeah.
I did find one interesting tidbit on this was that the dorm set was later used on The Facts of Life.
Well, there you go.
It wasn't a total waste. It wasn't a total waste. It wasn't a total waste. Is it disappointing when you get like a show like that and it seems like it probably on paper was gonna ride like the success of Animal House and you're like, yeah, and then it just doesn't happen?
You're very disappointed. anytime something only goes a season and doesn't get picked up, you've bonded with the crew, you've bonded with the directors and the actors and everybody who works so hard that's not on camera. You bond with them, and so it's like the breakup of a family. It's sad, but you're not getting big bucks, so it's even sadder.
But like many stories that kind of go like this, had it not happened at the timing that it happened, then the opportunity to play Jody.
Yeah, one always leads to another.
When you were at UCLA Film School and you wanted to be an assistant director, and all of a sudden now you're going down the path of acting. Is this kind of like, were you always trying to like, did you want to be a writer also? Because I know you've written books and screenplays.
Yeah, I really did want to be a screenwriter and all that stuff. I kind of rolled into the path of least resistance. Then I fell in love with a man with 2 little girls, and that was the end of it. Basically, acting paid a ton of money. If you want to be frank, I got a house. I got the posters and all that paid for my house. I have no regrets. I had so much fun.
Was the 80s just the perfect time to be doing everything that you were doing?
It was so decadent and so insane. So insane.
What would be a version of the 80s, and how is it now? Like,
the 80s was the age of adults being children. Now they just are children emotionally. We weren't that in the 80s. We just had so much fun. Roller skating discos. I remember there were discotheques where you take a slide to go down. I remember I never do easy things. I had a boyfriend in Berlin. He was like the karate champion of Europe. He taught Dolph Lundgren, and he was a singing, of course, and a pop star. I used to fly to Berlin on the weekends, and some of the discos there, the western half of Berlin wanted to say, look, we're all Western and we're not communists. We're big consumers. So they'd have discotheques that would have a 3-story wall of sharks, or you'd write, there were skateboarders on the wall next to you doing stuff. It was crazy in those days. Crazy.
Is now everything just more corporate and...
Yeah, a little bit too corporate. Before, there were just these crazy entrepreneurs. In the late 70s, I was producing concerts. I had no business producing them, but my boyfriend's manager was this guy who had Fun Productions, and he was a concert company, and he was the second biggest one in LA when there were like only 3. I messed up the switchboard so bad as a receptionist, they made me a producer. So I got to produce all these. I produced a concert at Angel Stadium with the New York Dolls, the Cycle Sluts, the Tubes, and Alice Cooper. It was a Spiders from Mars concert. We had it catered by Jason's. There were Ferris wheels and bumper cars backstage. It's nothing like that now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I had to spend half the show. Like we had this little girls drill team in from downtown LA. They all had their cowgirl boots and their white gloves, and they marched out with the dancing Quaaludes going, white punk song, dope. Everybody sang that song together. It was a crazy time, but I had to spend most of the concert up in the room counting the money and paying people, but I got to party a little bit. They just don't do that anymore.
It sounds incredibly fun. Did you produce any other concerts of note?
Devo at the Santa Monica Civic. I remember I didn't want David Lee Roth to use my bathroom. There were he was with so many girls. We did the Go-Go's there. Remember doing the Whiskey and doing Fear and X. I don't know if you know of any of those bands, but they were gnarly punk rock bands. I did some other concerts, but those are the ones I remember. Oh, I remember Chuck Berry needed 36 amps, and there were 35, and driving downtown going, give me an amp. But I was doing that at like 18. It was funny. No, you can't come backstage. Put down the Coke and pick up that thing. And, yelling at roadies. I don't know. I had no business doing it, but I ended up getting pretty good at it.
That sounds like quite an experience. It sounds amazing.
Crazy.
Wow. All right. So speaking of so in the 80s compared to now, maybe now you wouldn't have a character who's just wearing a bikini the whole time in an action show, right? Maybe you would.
I'd probably be AI.
Let's talk Fall Guy for a minute. It's an iconic show, so it must be kind of just amazing to have been part of something that so many people love so much. I mean, it just got remade into a movie too, which you were in. You were in the.
Oh, I know. I didn't do them for years and years and years and years and years. And Kathy Bach convinced me. I did a couple of them last year to do one of those autograph shows. Number one, I couldn't believe how much money you make. So much better than it used to be. It used to be $1 an autograph. Number two, it was so much fun to see the fans. Because when I was a kid doing the autograph shows, everybody was really pervy. And now everybody, these really nice people came up to my table and want an autograph, a signed picture, but it's nothing like it used to be. I'd have to have 2 bodyguards on stage to keep people from touching me. Now everybody's lovely.
Yeah, you can see my background. I go to Comic-Con. I got the Fonz. I got some Walking Dead folks, Christopher Lloyd. Yeah,
during the con, that's what I did. I did the cons and a couple of chillers or something.
That's where all my money goes.
But everybody's so nice now.
Yeah, everyone's very respectful. I think because it's now like an institution. Everyone just knows how it works, and it's not.
Well, in the 80s, they used to like grab your hair and go like that to see if you had an extension or not.
Oy.
As you were walking through a crowd, you pull your hair and go, she's shorter than I thought. She's taller than I thought.
Oh, man. Did you do any of your own stunts on the Fall Guy? You did some, not all, I would imagine.
Yeah, I did a lot of the stunt fighting. I didn't do any of the high falls or fire or risk your life, weird crashes or anything like that. But I did do, like, I could do a 4-wheel slide in that big truck, which I hated. It was a bitch. It was horrible.
You gotta be
what
pretty
they
accurate.
would do is they'd put something like this big, the size of a dime, and go, okay, do a 4-wheel slide and put your right front tire on that. And it would
Many
be
times
like,
you gotta practice something like that.
take 99.
Okay.
But I learned how to do it. So I learned how to do moderate, low risk stunts. I hung from a helicopter skid once.
How high were you hanging?
Feet off the ground. And then to show me parachuting, it was the worst. They had me on a crane in a full harness, spread eagled in a bikini over the entrance to Fox. It was like, welcome.
Welcome to Fox.
One of the goofier things I did.
What was the scariest one they had you do, or did you even just have to witness the other people doing it? And you're like, do you ever feel like, oh my God, they're doing this because I can't? Like, and you feel bad.
Yeah,
I know they're professionals, but like,
yeah, anything was a high fall, I was always like, I loved my stunt doubles, or some of the fights. You go, I could throw a better punch than that. You know? So Lee taught me how to do a lot of it.
Was he cool to work with? I mean, he's coming in iconic from $6 Million Man. So was he down to earth? And
yeah,
seems like a cool dude.
He was very generous.
Very generous.
And tolerant.
Did he share some good?
Depended on the day, but I think he was pretty tolerant.
Pretty tolerant.
For him, yeah.
I can't remember the story exactly, but it just occurred to me, like when I talked to Ted Lange, Isaac from the Love Boat, he had a Lee Majors story.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure he did. I love Ted. He was lovely. Ted was a good director.
He's a great writer.
No, Lee basically says, talk fast because when you stop, I start. That's but what he taught me was how to sell a close-up or, things like that and get a reaction. He'd be funny. He'd go, look, I'm giving you a close-up like this. Turn his head so the camera would have to cut to me. It was funny.
That is generous. A lot of times you talk about to people like they hog the lines. They don't want to,
No. If he didn't like his lines, he'd make us say them.
I guess when you're Lee Majors, you can
do
too
much. Here, you say it.
That's funny. And then Marky Post was on it for a while too.
Yeah. Marky, she was a good girl.
She was cool.
It's sad she's gone.
Yeah.
I talked to Doug.
How come Doug didn't do the Fall Guy cameo with you?
I don't know why. I asked them and they go, well, yeah.
Couldn't make it realistic.
They asked me, and I'm the one that told them to ask Lee.
Oh, they didn't even ask Lee originally?
Yeah. I said, you got to have Lee.
Yeah, you got it. It was perfect.
No, he was like iconic. And it sold the whole thing. If you blink, you'll miss me anyway.
Fun. So, favorite co-stars, least favorite co-stars, and whatever you want.
I never talk bad about anybody. I'm a good girl. And you know what? It just works out well for me. Maybe when I'm near death, I might, but until then, I'm going to hold the bad stuff.
Favorite co-stars?
Oh, God, I love so many of them. Buddy Hackett was a riot. Lou Rawls was on. Jim Coburn was fun. Roy Rogers was probably my favorite. He had some wild stories. Everybody thinks of him as like the kiddie's pal. We're like writing in this, had this scene where we had to write a board into camera and he was singing to me as he did it. So there were a lot of takes from all these different angles, and sometimes the horses wouldn't cooperate or whatever. And so he ends up telling me the story. He goes, I used to be a yodeler. And I said, really? He goes, yeah, there were yodeling contests where they were fierce all across LA and Long Beach. He goes, and Long Beach was rough in those days. I guess he was talking about the 20s or 30s or something. And he goes, yeah, I got in a fight and bit a guy's thumb off. I'm like, thank you for sharing. He was funny, but I liked him.
Oh, man. Stay away from Roy Rogers. Got a taste for blood.
I got to work with Sid Charisse. She was lovely.
Sounds like you had quite a fun time. Do people love coming on the show?
Fun. Richard Burton did the show, and he was doing a show with Elizabeth Taylor. And Lee goes, I'm not going alone to this thing. And he dragged me to their premiere. And I had to go out to dinner with them, and they were fighting. And Lee and I'm going, Lee, why do we leave? It was weird.
The other thing I found out while digging around Glen A. Larson is he co-wrote the theme song, which is iconic. It just as iconic as everything else.
Glen was one of the 4 preps.
Yeah. It's just, as I was looking at his thing, I was just like, oh, wow. This guy did a lot. Could sing, write songs, make amazing shows. And then you played the same character on Trauma Center. There was another Glen A. Larson show, right? There was a little crossover, Lou Ferrigno's show.
There was a million crossovers. I don't even remember them all.
I didn't remember that show. I wanted to ask you about Zapped.
That before Fall Guy.
Right. This was right. And then it come out like as Fall Guy was becoming huge? Did the timing kind of hit like that?
Yeah.
This was originally supposed to be, your understanding was this was a PG movie, just a fun PG film that they covertly changed into R.
Yeah, and then they start, there was a couple of days where I would just be sitting in my trailer waiting for my managers to come. They'd come down to the set and they'd have to threaten the producers a bunch of times. Then they'd leave and the producers would say, we're going to get a girl with really ugly boobs to be your body double. I'd say, fine, as long as it's not me. Days like that.
That's horrible. I mean, I guess because Porky's was really huge all of a sudden, so they wanted to kind of ride.
Way before me too. Let's just put it that way. But it was kind of good because at one point remember this is before Photoshop. They kind of taped my head on somebody else's body. They had to put a disclaimer at the end saying that wasn't Heather Thomas's breast. And I got to do 5. I got so much publicity out of it because I worked off that thing saying, they threatened me and tried to cajole me every second.
Kudos to you for because I imagine a lot of people in the same situation gave in or would have just done the nudity. But you had kind of like a line. You're like, no, I'm not doing that.
No, it's network TV. It has clauses. I wasn't going to lose my series.
No, good for you. And then looking back, it was probably a great decision in terms of
less is more. In those days, less was more.
Speaking of less is more, 80s pinup icon, right? I think is it still the best-selling poster of all time?
Yeah.
Amazing. Comparison to the other favorite, Farrah Fawcett. There must be something about when Lee Majors
Yeah, man, it's all Lee mystique.
Oh man, I made a joke earlier, which I don't think was a joke, about it paying for your house. These posters were like printing gold then?
Yeah, it got to a point where then everybody counterfeited them. So I'd be walking down the street, and people would be charging for a giant. That was kind of funny. There'd be like these giant bigger than life-size cutouts, and people would pose with them. It would be like me, Eddie Murphy, and Ronald Reagan. And Tom Selleck. And one time I was like on one of the first trips or second trip I took with my husband, we were in New Orleans. And in New Orleans, there was this, we're going to a restaurant, and I was all crabby because there was a guy, selling pictures with me. It was this whole thing. Just, he only had one cutout. And people were giving him, he goes, yeah, I'm fully licensed, and we went upstairs. I ignored him. And he was saying, but he was advertising it like, I've got the rights to Heather Thomas. He was like yelling it out. And I was cranky. And my husband goes to the restroom and he comes back. Of course, he's taking a picture with it, and as we leave, my husband, who's a lawyer, he grabs it and he goes, this is copyright infringement, and just takes it with us. And now the guy is mad. He goes, bring Heather back. Hey, stop. You're taking my Heather. It was so surreal. And then he flips it to the limo driver. We had a driver at that time because it was night. And the guy's running down the street with me under his arm. And the guy's going, bring Heather back. And he's chasing this guy. And we watched them run away. It was really funny. And then later, the sheriff called and said, you're going to hand over Heather. And Skip goes, no, she's staying here. And he says, no, the cutout, because, it was for a dispute. I don't know what happened to it. I said, oh, give it back to him at this point.
You should have just signed it and made it out to him, and then it would have been.
Or drawn a big mustache on.
Yeah. The funny thing about Zapped, not literally funny, but is that when I was Googling it or going to look it up, for some reason, maybe the Disney Channel wasn't aware that there was already a movie called Zapped that was a 80s kind of sex comedy.
I don't know.
Because they made one with Zendaya in 2014. Same name. I'm like, come on, Disney. You gotta Zendaya starring in that. I just thought that was funny. That's all.
It was funny.
You got Trophies, your book. Any other books in the pipeline or?
Yeah, right now I'm working on a pilot, a couple of books. I had to write that. That one I wrote in less than a year, 5 pages. I didn't have much of an editor actually at the publisher, but they were mad. Judith Reagan. They were mad at Judith Reagan, and they were in a dispute with her, and the editor or the president of the company was in a dispute with her. So they gave me a romance novel editor who every time I turned in pages went, that's great. I didn't get to have Judith Reagan's input at all because they fired her, and then they were trying to Bombay her books. So they sold my book as a romance novel, and it's not. It was when I married my husband, it was kind of like being plunged in this wacky world. Charities and causes and politics and all that all hinge upon accruing these young wives and getting them on board with the cause or the charity or the museum or whatever. There's nothing that happens in America without these women. Trophy wives basically control about 80% of all charitable monies in America. If you want to get something done, just go find a rich chick with time on her hands. But I ended up lobbying for the NRDC and doing a lot of great causes, doing a lot for AIDS and for a lot of feminist stuff. But what I found was these women were just so insane. Their whole identity was wrapped up in where their position was in the pantheon of these charities. So who had power, who was, the final say. And I was just like, I'll bring the napkins. I was very happy being an Indian at all times. I had to write about it. It was just so crazy.
Sorry, so you drew on experiences diving into that world yourself. Very interesting.
It was just so goofy.
Oh, you got to play Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did. That is so much fun. Stanford Arms in Toronto. We had so much fun. Everybody that was making a movie in that town was in that hotel. So there'd be like Richard Harris that I knew because I used to date his ex-wife's brother. Then there was Three Men and a Baby was shooting there. Somebody else with Peter Coyote. And we all became friends. So like every Friday night, there was the Three Men and a Baby threw a party up in the penthouse ballroom or whatever it was. And it was fun.
So a Ted Danson, Steve Guttenberg, Tom Selleck throwdown.
And Leonard
Nimoy
was there. Yeah. I remember him yelling at us when we were teenagers. You know, his son Adam, I think, was friends with my girlfriend. And I just remember getting yelled at by him when I was a kid. It was like, hello, Mr. Nimoy. You know,
that is funny.
I was in trouble.
All right, so that was Hoover and the Kennedys, Marilyn Monroe. You got to do the happy birthday.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's like being possessed when you do that.
Battle of the Network Stars.
So much fun.
So much fun.
Yeah.
And then there was a clip with you and the other 80s Heather. And was there like a Heather rivalry? Like, I mean, not like really, but like it's just in the.
No, I liked her a lot.
I don't even mean with you guys, just
no,
you personally. With
everybody,
the Heathers. You guys.
Well, that just came from natural stereotype assumptions, you know, that women must hate each other if they're both attractive, you know, and we're always competing for who's the most popular. Life is too short.
It's just funny with like when like the drama people will make up, or you know, just to sell a newspaper or magazine or something like that. So Barry, so Battle of the Network Stars, it was a lot of fun. There was you know what? I wrote down like you dunked Mr. T. You got dunked a lot too, but like
I got dunked a lot.
But you got to dunk Mr. T, which I thought was the best. It's funny watching the clips because it's like you and Heather Locklear were in the dunk tape, and like her foot gets stuck for like a second. Howard Cosell Heather's foot is stuck. It's like
oh no, will she survive? Yeah. You know, actually, I became friends with him. I'd like to see him whenever I was in New York.
Howard Cosell?
Yeah, and he was friends with Lee. I remember one time Leroy Neiman was the guy who drew that little party joke lady in the Playboys with the little black sock. Well, he also did all those pink and blue soccer player oil paintings. And he was in town and he was friends with Glen Larson, and he wanted to know if I wanted to go with him to an Andy Warhol show. And I got to meet Andy Warhol. But the whole time, Lee Majors and Howard Cosell were trolling me all night, going, don't go out with that damn thrown out of Milwaukee. Lee Majors would go, don't let him touch you. You know, they were all just saying stuff like that. It was so funny.
They're coming for you.
I got to meet Andy Warhol. I was stoked.
That's amazing.
And Leroy didn't make a move on me or anything. You know, it was dumb. It was a silly night. But they were following us in a car. They didn't even go to the art show. They were just like blowing up the phone in the limo.
Crazy times. So Heather, speaking of Heather Locklear, though, William Shatner, TJ Hooker.
Yeah. I got to play a hooker on TJ Hooker.
That's, you know, if you're going to play a hooker, that's the place to play it, I guess.
Yeah.
With working with other 80s Heather fun and working with William Shatner.
I love William Shatner. He was fantastic. He was funny. We went to, he gave me a ride once to a party. I think it was Michelle Phillips' birthday party. I was dating one of her exes and they had a kid together. So we were all friendly. And so she invited me to her birthday party.
That sounds fun.
I loved her. She was a lovely person.
The other thing that I kind of saw that you were in, Rodney Dangerfield, opening night at Rodney's place.
Yes, we had the same manager. He was the greatest guy ever. Greatest guy ever. He was so generous. Again, another generous, wonderful guy. He gave so many comedians their start. We had the same manager when he was doing Back to School and all the crazy stuff. One Thanksgiving, he was a guest at my house. It was the first Thanksgiving I ever cooked everything by myself. And I didn't, hire anybody to like serve. So I was doing everything. And I was getting a little stressed out. I was late and like everybody had brought a friend, not Rodney. He was a good guest. He was a one and he came as a one. But he came in the kitchen and I just cut myself and bled over this thing of extra stuffing I had to make because there were so many people. And he looks at it and he sees me crying and bandaging myself. And he goes and gets a spoon and he just starts stirring it up. He goes, they're all joy. It's like everybody's joy. And he just stirred it up and I served it. And everybody ate it.
Oh, okay.
That's a gross story, but it was funny.
It is gross. It is
very
gross.
Sweet of him.
Rodney Dangerfield was the best. I've never talked to anyone who didn't have so many great stories of him.
He could like memorize 1,500 jokes and do them all in this Vegas show.
It is amazing to me. It is. Yeah, it is crazy.
Crazy.
You got to work with Rich Little in one skit. He was Johnny Carson. That was cool. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know if you were in a scene with him or not, but apparently this was Tobey Maguire's first TV role as well.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you have all these stories, and then eventually you leave Hollywood. Stalkers.
A lot of stalkers.
So you've taken on monkeys, but the like, so you're used. That must have been just so horrible to have to deal with.
It was horrible. And also I wasn't home enough for the kids. There's 2 little girls. That doesn't go well with stalkers. And then also there was 1 year I was only home 2 months. I was in Germany and Sri Lanka and Canada twice. And it was a lot.
I imagine you don't look back though. You don't seem to someone who has a lot of regrets, like choosing to step away from the safety of yours.
I have had so much fun, and I still do. So no, I regret nothing.
And I'm sure you loved, and your daughters loved having you around. So it's a win-win for everyone.
Sometimes.
As they get older, it shifts. I know.
Yeah, that changes.
Yeah.
So I ended up with 3 daughters. I had one of my own, but they were all mine. Their mom didn't want to be a mom, and I just had so much fun. Now I've got grandkids.
You have grandkids? How many grandkids do you have?
Got 4.
4 grandkids. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Any of them got the showbiz?
Oldest is 13, and the youngest is 8.
Any of them want to go into showbiz? Any of them, are they aware yet of your fame? Like, is that something they're like aware of?
My grandson really liked seeing the latest Fall Guy movie. He was very inspired by the stunts. He's like a wild child anyway. He's like, was doing parkour at 4. He's amazing. He's a maniac. He was like jumping off of things and torturing my daughter. It was fun.
So it's just a matter of time before they'll be flipping the channel on YouTube. Some TikTok shows up and there's grandma.
There's grandma shaking her butt and dancing with a Samoan guy. It's like
making peace with the Japanese and moving on.
Yeah. Grandma being a racist.
That's so funny. Heather, thank you so much for hanging out with me. You're so fun to hang out with.
It was fun.
Anything you want to
remember more than me sometimes?
Anything you want to pitch or plug? Anything coming up or anything? Or any socials or anything?
A couple things that I can't talk about because they're in the works. Yeah, I'm always have my fingers in pies.
Awesome. So we look forward to all of that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.